Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing probably the hardest video I'm ever going to make on this channel. So if you want to watch that, please stick around. Before you watch this video, I want to give a quick disclaimer that if you are sensitive or triggered by suicide, depression, mental health in general, please click off immediately. This is probably one of the hardest videos I've ever filmed or made in my life. I'm making this video to help others. And I want to make that very, very clear. This video is literally intended to help someone else who's going through something similar or the same as I went through, and to get the message out, because there's a huge stigma on suicide and depression and mental health in general. So yeah. So before we get into what happened, you have to know some backstory. I had a hard time growing up, especially with school. High school was the worst. Elementary, I complained when I was in elementary a lot, and I complained about it. But once I got to high school, it literally completely disappeared. And the reason I hated high school so much was because I was bullied. And I seriously was depressed. Throughout high school, I was bullied by people who had more money than me. If someone in my school had more money than you, they were popular. They were the awesome kids that got along with all the teachers and who were friends with the principal. And it looked almost as if those families had a relationship with the school. Whether it was my appearance, whether it was the way I talked, walked, whether it was what I was interested in, I was made fun of for everything. And it escalated and escalated. One thing I didn't know while I was in high school was that I was suffering from borderline personality disorder. I hadn't realized I was suffering from that yet. It wasn't until a couple years ago that I figured it out, or found out, sorry. I was diagnosed with BPD a couple years ago, but in high school I had no idea. So I couldn't understand why I was feeling so many different things. I was feeling emotions that nobody else was feeling. I would get so upset at the smallest things. I would get so angry at the smallest things. But to me, those things weren't small. Those things were the end of the world. You know, a breakup, the end of the world. Losing a friendship, the end of the world. I had issues with abandonment. Friends came and went, and relationships came and went. I was super happy one second, super sad the next. Just like a switch. And I got made fun of for being that way. I was so emotional that I got made fun of for it. One day, things got so bad that I started having accounts made of me on Twitter. I was shocked. But it didn't start with that. It started with a little site called Ask FM. Gosh, please don't bring that back. But it started with Ask FM, the bullying. Then I had fake accounts made of me on Snapchat, Ask FM, Twitter. And of course, everything that they said or thought, I took to heart. One day I was just fed up. I was having problems with my own emotions. I couldn't understand why I was so upset. I would feel like I was out of my body. I was looking back at myself. It was like I didn't know who I was. And there's a difference between not knowing who you are as a person and not seeing yourself physically. When you sit in front of a mirror and you're able to look at yourself in the mirror and you don't recognize yourself, or you don't, like, it's like you have to constantly remind yourself it's you. If that makes sense. So basically I was going through all things related to BPD, anxiety, and depression. My emotions were chaotic. I didn't know how anybody was going to help me. I didn't know what they could do to help me. I had been in counseling. I had been seeing the school therapist, things like that. Nothing worked. And my emotions would get so intense to the point where I'd be breaking down, I'd be throwing up, I'd be almost passing out. I'd sleep for hours on end. But now we'll get into the day. That day, I went to school. I felt super alone that day. I don't remember why. I can't even, and that's the thing, it's hard to remember certain things when you block out so much. But I was alone. I know I was feeling alone that day and scared. I'd just been broken up with. I was, arguing with my parents, which it's a totally normal thing, but in my head, it was the end of the world. I was losing friends, gaining friends. My emotions were just all over the place and I didn't know what to do. And it got to the point where I was sitting against my lockers and I sat there for a while and I watched everyone walking by, and it was during break. And as I'm watching everyone by, I just remember thinking to myself, wow, I'm literally just sitting here alone in front of my locker and no one has even sat down next to me or said hi. It was like, I was like non-existent. In my head, I thought, you know what, maybe that's what they want. Maybe that's what they want. Maybe that's why friends leave me. Maybe all those accounts that were writing, go kill yourself, were right. The amount of times a fake account or even a person I knew said, you should go kill yourself, you'd be shocked. Let's put it that way. Or the words, the world would be a better place if you killed yourself. Imagine that being said to you when you're like 13, 14 years old, 15 years old, just growing up. So, before break was done, I decided to put a bunch of pills in my mouth and chew them and swallow them. Because I couldn't swallow pills, I chewed them. And I think I had about 10 of them. Don't remember what medication it was. Afterwards, I was in class and I started to really not feel well. And so I figured that the medications were just reacting. So I asked to go to the bathroom, and I left and I went to the bathroom, and at that point I realized I was in trouble. I couldn't breathe properly. I felt extremely sick. My head was spinning and I didn't know what to do. So what I did was I sent a message to multiple people. One of them picked up, who happened to be my friend at the time. And I asked him to come meet me in the bathroom because I was trying to commit suicide. Because at that moment I realized I don't know. Like, I hadn't thought of the repercussions of feeling sick and then feeling the emotions when you get close to it. When you feel like you're getting close to death, the emotions that come on, you can't even explain it. But I was thinking of my family. They would think of me, how people would judge me at school now that I did this. And so my friend helped me walk to the nurse. When I got to the nurse, she right away was told by my friend that I was trying to commit suicide and I ingested pills. The nurse right away called my father, who rushed to the school to pick me up and bring me to the hospital. They were originally going to call an ambulance, but my dad wanted to bring me himself. He was in the area. And you could imagine that this could be probably the worst part of this, but it's not. It gets worse. Once I had gotten to the hospital, things went badly with my parents. My parents were just a wreck, especially my mom. I think any parents would react that way if their kid was trying to commit suicide. But they were there for me through everything. And they did everything they could to help because they didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know why I wanted to even kill myself. I just had so many emotions, and it was like that was my automatic response. And so once the medical emergency stopped, the ingestion, all that, once I was cleared of all that, so I was in the hospital for a little while. Therapists coming in and out, psychologists coming in and out, horrible food, no one to talk to. I wasn't allowed my phone. I wasn't allowed anything, basically. Once I opened my phone when I got out, I was shocked because the amount of people who sent me messages that were negative compared to the amount of messages that were positive were higher. I had messages coming in. You're a liar. What do you think you're doing pretending you're at the hospital? You're a liar pretending you tried to commit suicide. You're trying to gain attention. You just want everyone to focus on you. You want people to feel bad for you. You want people to pity you. I got so many messages like that. But then there were a couple messages where some really supportive friends of mine reached out and sent me a really, really nice message for when I got out, because they knew I was in there. The reason I'm explaining this to you guys is because you shouldn't ever tell someone that they tried to commit suicide for attention or for anything other than they are in a bad mental state. It is not fair to put all that stress on someone who's already going through so much stress. I'm telling you this because maybe you can hold back from bullying other people now. Maybe you can hold back from saying negative comments to others that could be taken the wrong way. Maybe hold back on just being mean in general. Maybe start helping others. Maybe start being there for others. Be nice to others. Maybe if you see someone alone, help them. Be with them. Talk to them. The amount of times I was bullied, I can't even begin to count. But the reason I want to say this specifically is so that you guys can understand that there are people who they aren't aware yet of their disorders or what's going on in their brain. I had no idea what was going on. My emotions were intense and they were valid. When things accumulate and you're being bullied and put in a negative headspace all the time, you start to believe it. I just want to break the stigma that people who attempt to commit suicide or people who have commit suicide are doing it for attention or for anything whatsoever, because they aren't. I wasn't. And now I am no longer thinking of committing suicide. I have actually strayed away from my depression a lot this year. And I'm proud of myself. Because, you know what, when I was 14, 15, I wanted to end my life. I'm 21. And I'm still living, baby. I love you guys. Took me so much effort not to cry in this video. No. Seriously though, guys. You all mean so much to me. I'm so grateful for every single one of you that watch my videos, that comment, that like my videos. It means more than you can imagine to me. And I hope that I can just help at least one person out there. If you are struggling and you're going through maybe similar situation or similar process of emotions or whatever it might be, just know that I understand. I understand how you're feeling. And I understand how hard it is to control emotions sometimes. and not let them take over. But it gets better. So please believe that. It gets better. Always. Just keep thinking positive. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like. Subscribe to my channel if you're new. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.
Please don't talk about me when I'm